Wagers on campus, everyone. We're back. And today we are breaking down the Big Ten, the conference that's produced the last three national champions. That is who we're talking about today. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in. And please like and subscribe at X Sports HQ. But thank you so much for giving us a listen. We're talking the Big Ten today. It's Alex Mayer. I'm here with Xander Burns.
Hello. Bye.
And we're just coming off our SEC show, so we are, lubed up and ready to go.
Jesus Christ.
And today we're going to be breaking down the Big Ten, the best conference in college football.
You guys completely sober saying shit like that. Makes you wonder.
Just had a Coke Zero. Feeling caffed up.
Again. Yeah. Woo.
So yeah, can't wait to break it down and get into it. Very fun conference. Where do you want to start?
I'm excited. Obviously, a conference close to both of our hearts here in Big Ten country that neither of us live in anymore. Sad. But it's a conference that I think is extremely top heavy. But I think that the top of this conference is superior to anywhere else in the country when it comes to national championship pedigree. And there's been a few changes within the conference, obviously some big news. And I just think that we are in for a treat when it comes to covering the Big Ten. I think there's a lot of money to be made this season. And should we just dive right into our top 10?
Please.
Please, please, please. All right. Sounds good to me. A little bit more volatility in the Big Ten. Just listening to the SEC, we agreed on a few things, but there's a couple teams that did not make either one of our top 10s. And that starts off right now. I have Nebraska down there at number 10. And Alex Mayer has Minnesota. So I do not have Minnesota in my top 10. Mayer has Nebraska coming up next at number 9. So we'll just talk about both teams. But since I don't have Minnesota in, tell me what jumped out to you. We have 18 teams in this conference. And I'm assuming that would mean they're bowl eligible coming off an 8-5 season. What do you like in the – I heard this today. Can you believe this is the 10th year under PJ Fleck?
Not really.
That's crazy.
And he gets away with wearing that fucking suit and tie.
The quarter zip, too.
Quarter zip, exactly. I like PJ Fleck. I think Minnesota is smart for retaining him within their program. As you mentioned, Burns, Minnesota went 8-5 last season, including a 5-4 mark in the Big Ten. They returned their quarterback, Drake Lindsey, so I do like the stability that he brings at the position. Threw for 2,400 yards last year, 18 touchdowns, only 6 picks, pretty good. Darius Taylor, does that name ring a bell? Well, it should. He's an electric factory at running back, and he also returns to the squad as well as 2 of their top pass catchers. And they did lose probably their best defensive player, Kai Parrish, to Oregon. But they do return defensive end Anthony Smith. He was a first-team All-Big Ten selection last year with 12.5 sacks. Minnesota is also a program that's won 9 straight bowl games. Fun fact. PJ Fleck, very similar results in terms of consistency when I look at, what Iowa has done over the years with Kirk Ferentz and what Pat Fitzgerald did at Northwestern for such a long time, just consistently winning games. And Minnesota is always one of those teams that's under the radar. And it was tough. I was between Minnesota and another team in terms of who I wanted to put here at 10.
Sure.
But I wanted to give Minnesota the benefit of the doubt and just give them the extra nod, so I did.
Yeah, I'm not a Drake Lindsay believer. Um, it's crazy too. Mohamed Ibrahim is now a running backs coach for Minnesota.
You said that name very well too.
Yeah.
After I butchered Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah. Only been at Iowa for 29 years. Only visited that campus and went to games there. Kirk Ferenz, like you're some French woman.
Brett Favre.
Yeah, so Ibrahim still running up and down the sideline against Ohio State opening week all those years ago. I actually have this being the step back here. They've just been so consistent. The quarterback play was just so poor, in my opinion. I don't see it going up when they play teams like Michigan, Washington, Iowa, Indiana, Penn State, even UCLA, and my Badgers too. I just don't see this team being bowl eligible. I have them down at 4-8. So,
all right,
they might even lose to Mississippi State week 2.
Wow, that would be in for a rough year.
Yeah. My number 10 and your number 9, Nebraska Cornhuskers. The Jeff Fisher of college football, Matt Rule, back-to-back 7-6 seasons, may have found something here. But what are you going to do? Upgraded at quarterback position, that's for sure. I'm just kidding. I actually like Raiola. And he got hurt, and they were just kind of left out in no man's land. After he got hurt, that offense was so pitiful.
Yeah.
With our boy Jeff Sims. Didn't fumble as much, so props to him for at least improving in some aspect of his game. But they bring in Calandria, who left Virginia to go to UNLV and was an absolute dynamo at UNLV last year. Having, like you said, Josh Allen type numbers. But last year they opened up 5-0 and proceeded to lose, I believe, 6 in a row before winning the last one. It was tough to see, but they could potentially do the same thing again, Alex. With Ohio, Bowling Green, it looks like North Dakota. Then they go to Michigan State, Maryland. That's their first 5 games. So before getting Indiana, Oregon, Washington, all back to back to back.
Yeah.
So that's where the season kind of goes back off, and they still have Ohio State and Iowa down there. However, I think they could definitely compete in Iowa. I think hosting Indiana, don't sleep on them yet. But this team returns a good amount on defense. They get Calandria. Matt Rule has got to get over the hump and shock some people in one of these seasons, right? Or are they just bound to be the middle of the Big Ten the rest of all of existence?
0-9 against AP top 25 teams under Matt Rule. 0 in their last 30 as a program since 2016 against AP top 25 teams. 0-30. I mean, that's I'm not making that up. 0-30. What?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Things I do like. Calandria, I think he's a solid quarterback. I also think they have some pretty good playmakers on the outside to support him. I also like that they brought in San Diego State's defensive coordinator, Rob Art. He takes the position. He runs a 4.25. San Diego State ranks 6th in FBS in scoring defense last year and number 1 in passing yards per attempt. They do bring in 9 transfers on defense. But ultimately, I see improvement from this Nebraska defensive, from a defensive standpoint. And I think offensively, they're going to have enough as well. What are you giggling about?
You just said that so quickly, it made it seem like the coordinator runs like a 4.25 40. Like you're like, he runs a 4.25.
4.25 scheme. Yeah. I do think they beat a top 25 team this year.
And who would that be on the schedule? Because Illinois won't be ranked.
Washington, Halloween.
That's spooky. Yeah, that's fair. Off a bye. Nebraska's off a bye.
Yeah.
I could see that as well. Look, they're really strong in the secondary. If they could shut a team down that cannot establish a run, they could potentially steal one. And Washington could fit that bill for sure. All right. Number 10 off the board. Your number 9. My number 9 is a team that you don't have ranked. So we'll talk about them. It's the UCLA Bruins. Big splash in the offseason. Signing a big name. Bob Chesney comes in, brings a ton of people with him from JMU. People are seeing the parallels with Cignetti, Chesney, even though Chesney was not on Cignetti's staff when he was at JMU. And this was a quick turnaround, too. Obviously, just 2 years there, but he got JMU to the playoff, and Cignetti never did that. So what can you say there?
Very true. I heard the energy around the program is just very high right now.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. And, got a mixed bowl of some players that stayed. Obviously, Nico sticking around. Quite literally the worst Power 4 passing defense in the entire country last year. So there is literally nowhere to go but up. You expect to see UCLA bounce back in that form. They do start off tough at Cal. Obviously, we like JKS on this program. And then they have San Diego State too. So not like they're doing themselves any favors out of the conference. But what Chesney brings to a program is automatically an uptick. They cleared everyone out on the coaching staff, even though UCLA, did, if you recall, have that 28-point underdog win over Penn State with the interim head coaches. And they had Neuheisel's son calling plays, carrying him off. What a weird season it was for the UCLA Bruins last year.
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Big time. Big time.
And then they proceeded to, after they won 3 in a row, I think they dropped every single game because they finished 3-9 last year.
Correct.
So just a weird, funky season. They have Wayne Knight. Newman. That's the actor that plays Newman on Seinfeld, is Wayne Knight. No relation to this running back. Nico, obviously, we've got Landon Ellis should be, and Mikey Matthews should be threats on the outside.
Aiden Mizell.
Yeah. Yep. Mateed Bagani at kicker. Anthony Woods as well. But anyway, need them to shore up the offensive line. So question marks at O-line. And Nico needs to be less of a chicken with his head cut off and get back to what he was at Tennessee. Can use the legs, but he also has that big arm. Like to see more of. I actually have this team as possibly the biggest shock in college football outside of my UCF prediction. And I have them at 8-4.
I could see it.
They have a interestingly soft schedule where they get Purdue, Maryland, they'll lose to Oregon, but then they get Wisconsin at home, Michigan State at home, Nevada at home, go to Minnesota, come back, host Illinois, and then they close out Michigan, USC. So, and I have them losing to the bigger teams mentioned with Oregon, Michigan, and USC. So there is 8 to 9 wins in this Bob Chesney run team. If you believe, you just got to believe.
I couldn't agree more, quite honestly. I see the upside. I see what you're selling, and I'm interested.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, Alex. Now, a good producer would have had the 9 or 8 win total pulled up, but I'll find that after we talk about number 8, Big Ten number 8 for Alex and Xander. A little different. You have a team that I don't have in my top 10, and I have a team that you have probably way too high. I've got Michigan at number 8, and you've got Iowa at number 8.
Yeah, I got Michigan all the way down at number 4.
Sure do.
Well, Iowa, I got them at 8 because we're freaking Iowa. They do the same thing every year. They win 8 to 9 games. You kind of scratch your head and you wonder how are they going to do it. They lost these guys on defense. Fucking George Kittle just went to the NFL draft. We're screwed. They figure it out. They're going to play good defense. They're going to run the god football. And they're going to find ways to win some games. And that's just what it is. Quarterback competition over there, Hank Brown and Jeremy Hecklinski. They're still battling it out. Hank Brown from Auburn a couple years ago and Hecklinski from, I think, Wake Forest. Apparently their tight end, DJ Voname, looks great. Could be another Dallas Clark, George Kittle, Sam Laporta. So look out for him. Their leading rusher from last year, Kamari Moulton, returns. They did lose several players on defense to the NFL draft, but not too concerned there. 9-4 last season, Burns. 6-3 in the conference. 28th season for head coach Kirk Ferentz. And, I just think they'll find a way.
UCLA number was only plus 195 for 8+ wins.
Okay.
That's, wow.
Schedule is soft, like you said.
Vegas sees the same thing I do.
All you got to do is believe.
Gosh. Iowa starts off with the Iowa Bowl. They get Iowa State and Northern Iowa this year.
2-0.
Northern Illinois, 3-0. Then they drop 3 in a row when they go Michigan, Ohio State, Washington. Then it's just in the no man's land Big Ten schedule because they go Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska. Iowa could go 6-0 and they could go 3-3, 2-4. They could do every record. I don't think they'll go 0-6. Pretty much every record you could see Iowa undertaking there. And that's why they were actually number 11 for me. I still have them bowl eligible at 7 wins. I just have them dropping one to both red and white teams, Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Yep. I would probably agree and say they're probably about a 7-win team for me as well.
But they do have a ceiling of 9, potentially 10, if they could steal one from Michigan or Washington.
Yeah.
Just, again, quarterback play, man. You just, to steal big games like that, you really need a guy that has potential to do something really special. And neither of those guys have special potential.
No Gronowski this year.
Yeah, he was really special too, wasn't he?
He could make some plays with his legs in the red zone.
Yeah, sure. He was something. Man, the hype on him was, I'll never forget that.
You were buying it too.
I was buying all of it up. I was waiting in line in front of the store 3 days before it opened. Couldn't get enough Gronowski last year. All right, we'll save Michigan until we get down to your false idol claim. Next up, again, a team that you don't have ranked. Fucking, you are sacrilegious for this. And I have it ranked a little bit higher. Number 7, I've got Wisconsin. And then you've got Penn State. We'll talk about Penn State because I have them coming up next at number 6.
Okay.
So we'll talk about both these teams. Start with mine since you have them unranked. How about you lead off this time? Why don't you believe in Wisconsin?
Well, Luke Fickell hasn't shown that he can do it so far, which is honestly just the most head-scratching thing of all time, because when you look at his success at Cincinnati, it's just incredible that he's struggled so much at Wisconsin. And I know, they've had some quarterback injuries along the way, but it's deeper than that, in my opinion. And, your boy, Colton Joseph. I know you're excited about him at quarterback, Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year. So he should be fun to watch. Dual threat guy. They bring back an All-American linebacker who is a freshman last season, and Mason Posa. Quite a few transfers on defense. I do expect improvement out of Wisconsin. I do expect improvement, but I am not ready to rank them number 7. It's really about it.
I think Colton Joseph might be what Scott Tolzien that this team's been looking for. If you remember that name?
Fuck yeah. He won a couple games with the Packers.
Oh, yeah. But more or less, this could be the second coming of Russell Wilson in the Badger country.
We're long overdue, Burns. We are long overdue for Wisconsin to actually look like Wisconsin again.
Yeah, I mean, they're just loaded at running back. Abu Sama, Byron Jackson, Darian Dupree, all should get touches this year. It's really going to come down to that Luke Fickell defense again, but a little concerned about where they are on the offensive line. That's what's left them in the recent years. That was always a layup. Iowa and Wisconsin offensive linemen, just sign them up, NFL draft. They're there every single year. And that's something that this team has missed out on. So interesting to see what we'll be able to get. Some tight end packages too. Keep it simple. Colton Joseph was asked to do a lot at Old Dominion, so it resulted in quite a few turnovers last year, including 7 fumbles. So you'll think that that'll get packed up a little bit. Just based on all that, and then their schedule, we talked about it before. It just fits a very nice little pop-up situation. Teams like Western Illinois, Eastern Michigan, you get Michigan State, you get Rutgers, you get Maryland, Purdue, and Minnesota. So teams like that, and then maybe you steal one from Penn State, or even opening in Lambeau at Notre Dame. I have them at 8-4.
Okay. All right. It would be something. It would really be something if Wisconsin can be 8-4.
And then your number 7, my number 6, the Fighting Matt Campbells. Some guys did stick around from the James Franklin era. He brings in a ton of players from Iowa State with him. And it's going to be interesting to see first year for the Matt Campbell era, especially with Pablo Escobar just arrested on campus. There's a massive news story going around. This school cannot avoid just the craziest massive news stories. This one luckily didn't involve the football team. If you're unaware, just go look up Pablo Pledge Escobar. But keeping it to football, I don't know. Bringing in Rocco Becht is a great idea because he just knows the offense. He's not the greatest quarterback in the conference by a long shot. He's definitely middle of the road quarterback, but he's like 30 years old, and he's gonna get it done. But they take a step back, losing Katron Allen. Obviously a stud backfield from last year that would be impossible to replicate. And then it just feels like they're kind of in a lull too on the defensive side of the ball without having the big defensive end name that they've had that has been like a top 10 pick, seems like the last 5 years in a row. Obviously not it, but they've just had names there, dudes. So I think they have a favorable schedule. I think they get some good games at home, and they get teams like Minnesota, Rutgers, Purdue, Maryland, and then a couple MAC teams. I mean, they're going to win 7. I have them winning 9, actually.
I could see it. Their schedule is softer than butter.
Nice, dude.
24 out of the 39 transfers all come from Iowa State.
Yeah.
This truly is Iowa State Cyclones in Penn State uniforms. Carson Hansen, their running back, he transferred over. Rocco Becht's top 3 receiving options all transferred to Penn State. And in big capital letters, I wrote easy ass schedule for my notes on this team. I agree. I think they can win 9, maybe 10, just because of how easy their schedule is.
Okay.
With that said, I don't think they're good enough to do it. I would say that they probably end up winning 7 or 8.
That's fair. But you do have to agree Iowa State football translates to Big Ten football.
In the sense of
physicality and
yes,
like scheming and
in
like
the sense of being Minnesota or Iowa or one of those teams, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I have their losses being USC, Washington, and I actually have an upset for your Northwestern Wildcats.
You got Northwestern beating them to open up Ryan Field.
Yep.
Yeah, could see it.
Yeah. So Penn State. Should we just move on? That's enough said about them.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. What it's going to look like for them. Next up, number 6. Here we're going to start differing even more. There's my Penn State. Mayor has Washington. Let's talk about Washington. I have them at number 4. I have a tremendous uptick in Jed Fish's third year. You have them a little bit further back, not really conference championship contending. What do you see in this team that doesn't get them over the edge?
Just not consistent enough. Couple lulls here and there will cost you, and they just need to be more dialed if they're really going to compete in this conference. I see the talent. They typically have a pretty good defense, Washington. I read that they're returning 10 defensive players on defense with starting experience. They have strong linebackers. They have a strong secondary. They have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. Of course, Damon Williams decided to stay, and he decided to leave, and he decided to stay again. But he's a talent. They're going to have to replace Jonah Coleman, who's a very good running back there. But, I just feel like Washington has failed to answer the bell more than one time, whether it was last year at home against Ohio State, whether it was a couple years ago on the road against Iowa when they just lost like 40-0 in a random game. I just need to see Washington take the next step before I can start believing that they're going to achieve that next step ever since their Natty championship run now 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that Damon Williams is the one to get them over that hump. You bring in you have players like Roebuck and Moss at the wideout position, and then you have Decker DeGraff, like a really good studly tight end that you're going to be able to use as a weapon. Yeah, it is tough to replace running backs, but I think the continuity that this team will have on the defensive side of the ball will keep them in more games that they kind of got left out of last year. So not truly contenders last year. I have them losing to USC and Indiana. That's it. I have them 10-2. I have them beating Oregon the final game of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a playoff team.
I think that would be a playoff team. Absolutely. But I have, like I said, leading into the show, I have cream of the crop. So they're one of 5 teams I have in this conference that are 10-2 or better.
If they win all of their games besides USC, Indiana, and Oregon, which puts them at 9-3, are they a playoff team? I got to say no.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
They'll probably be ranked like 20th in the country.
They have to beat one of those teams.
Definitely. And if they do, then they're definitely a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 5. Woohoo. Top 5, top 5. Shocking. Oregon and USC. I have Oregon at number 5. I have a caveat here. I also have a 3-way tie at 7-2, and they are part of the 3-way tie at 7-2 in the conference. So when it
Okay.
says number 5, just basing it off of my rankings of win-loss.
He's throwing shade.
I think this is definitely a top 3 team talent-wise in the conference, let alone the entire country. You have USC. I have them higher. You also have Oregon higher. So let's wait and talk about these teams. Little burying the lead there.
Okay.
Big Ten number 4 then. Here's where I have Washington. And here's where Mayor has Michigan. Time to talk about my number 8 team. Mayor's number 4 team. How can you believe in a quarterback that can't throw a forward pass?
Do they still have Alex Orgy?
Basically, 5-star orgy.
Yeah. Why do I like Michigan at number 4? Well, a lot of turmoil in this program, as we all know.
Yeah.
So they bring in Kyle Whittingham from Utah, spent 21 seasons there. Going to be his first year at Michigan. Despite the turmoil last year and a softer schedule, they went 9-4, 7-2 in the Big Ten. Still pretty good results at the end of the day. As far as Underwood goes, this is where I think there's a pretty clear line between people who think he's going to take a significant step forward this year, and then folks like yourself who thinks, who might think he is what he is, and ultimately he's just not that good. I think he will take a step forward. They bring in a new offensive coordinator, Jason Beck from Utah. He had Devin Dampier last season, and I got to give credit to Dampier because he was the man in the arena. But he finished 9th in QBR last season with an 82. So I like Beck coming over from Utah. Bryce Underwood's top target, Andrew Marsh, returns. Jordan Marshall at running back, solid player. They lost Justice Haynes, as we talked about, to Georgia Tech. And then when I'm looking at this Michigan defense, I really like the addition of John Henry Daly, the All-American from Utah, 11.5 sacks, 17.5 tackles for a loss. Just an excellent, excellent player. And it seems like their secondary looks pretty damn strong too. So I just see a balanced, well-coached, good team on both sides of the ball. And I think their ceiling is college football playoff quarterfinals.
That's fair. But you got to remember, Daly is coming off a ruptured Achilles last November. So are you going to get 100% out of him? Probably not. It is a good addition outside of that. They get the top running back in the class, Savion Hyder, to complement Jordan Marshall. It seems like they've been running 2 running backs in this Michigan offense that they've established. I think a good comp is Devin Dampier, actually, Bryce Underwood, to what his ceiling could be. And but it just feels like if you take away Marsh, that's where we're going to see any progression in offseason growth at the quarterback position. Marsh is a tremendous player, one of their best on their entire roster. I just don't see it, and I see this schedule being too daunting, getting Oklahoma, getting Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, even UCLA and Penn State, Iowa. I mean, it's a brutal, brutal schedule. So I do have them obviously bowl eligible. I have them 7-5 this year with upside of 9 wins.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really strongly disagree with that statement. I mean, winning at Ohio State, that's going to be a tough one. Winning at Oregon, that's going to be a tough one. Oklahoma, that's a tough game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Indiana, that's a tough game. Tough schedule for sure. I mean, if this team loses 3 games, they're making the college football playoff, you would think.
Depends. I mean, same thing. If they lose 3 really big games like Indiana, yeah, I guess they could beat Oklahoma since we did see a 3-loss team. But that 3-loss team making last year was because they lost in the conference championship. So, and the new Notre Dame rule, the temper tantrum rule, might keep some extra teams out.
I got bad news from a client, so I was a little
Oh,
spaced
brutal.
out there for a second.
Brutal. So it's a good segue for the number 3 teams, where we're just not going to agree on anything, which is a good sign. But number 3, I have Indiana, and number 3, Mayor has the Ohio State University. I have them a little higher. And let's talk about Indiana because I have them at Mayor has them at number 2. So obviously defending national champions. Would have to expect to go down because there's nowhere to go up in 16-0 season. Rolling with the new quarterback again, 3rd straight year. I got to be honest. I don't see them kind of ticking. Obviously, number 3 is not the conference championship. I have them losing 2 this season, but ceiling is obviously going undefeated again. They have a decent schedule. They're returning a good amount of talent on defense. This fan base loves Charlie Becker, who just was the darling of the Big Ten championship. But let's remember that they did only win 13-10 on a shanked field goal. So please, let's put some respect on that. Then they get Turbo Richard from Boston College. Sick name. Just missed the all-name list. But you have guys like Carter Smith, Tyreek Tucker on both front lines. You know, they're going to be pretty solid on the offensive line as a unit. You just have to wonder about the secondary, having to replace Pons. You know, they get A.J. Harris back. Jamari Sharp is a big name. Just wonder on the back end and the safety positions. And then they land Nick Marsh in the portal from Michigan State, a big name that we've been high on the last couple of years that has just been kind of stuck with extremely mediocre quarterbacks. And I still think Hoover is, I would say he's the worst of the 3 Indiana so far. Hot take. But more than a serviceable quarterback to come in. You think they're back in Indianapolis. Why do you think that? And what are your strengths and weaknesses of this team coming into the season?
I mean, ranking them number 2, it doesn't necessarily mean I think that they're going to be in Indianapolis. Just kind of, you know, had to rank these top 3 teams, and I truly think it is them. And then there is a hard line. But I mean, you said a lot of it. I mean, ultimately, I think Indiana is just a very, very good, well-rounded football team. I think their transfer portal additions were very strong. You mentioned Nick Marsh, of course, and a couple of guys on defense. And then, you know, they added a really strong offensive lineman from Wisconsin. They bring back some offensive line, you know, returning starters. Of course, at quarterback, I really like Josh Hoover. I also like that their running back returns as well. And it's just a really solid program. And I don't think that they have glaring holes anywhere really on the roster. And obviously, I think that whole squad, you know, has a new level of confidence, and it'll be a challenge, especially when you look at their schedule. I mean, start the year off, you think they're probably going to be undefeated going into the game against Ohio State on October 17th, which is in Indiana. Now, they do play at Nebraska the week before, so they could slip up there, but Ohio State at Michigan, host USC at Washington. So they definitely have some tricky games.
Yeah, but getting Ohio State and USC at home is so huge. Um, Ironically enough, that's actually who I have them losing to. I have them going 10-2. And that could obviously flip. I mean, they could drop a couple of the road games and win both of those home games. But without a doubt, Cignetti has this team as a national contender. I just wonder, does it catch up, just the constant, just revolving door? And especially when we're talking about depth at the QB position, like what are they going to do if Hoover goes down? Because this team, could definitely stay in games on the defensive side of the ball, but that's a worrisome thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ceiling national championship, floor like 9 wins and missed the college football playoff.
Yeah, and they could even be the potential 3-loss team to get in, though.
Yeah.
Well, I think move on to number 2, because that's where you have Indiana. And I have the surprise team of the year, the USC Trojans. Fight on, baby. Dun, 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 dun. No, it's
Interesting.
Indiana Jones.
Interesting. Number 2.
I'm all in on the USC, the United States champions. No.
Did Lincoln Riley leave?
No, he did not leave. That's an ugly question for you to ask at this time.
Yeah, it feels like I hit a nerve with that one.
Top five. Listen, they get Oregon at home. They get Ohio State at home. They travel to Indiana. They travel to Penn State. Other than that, they've got a couple funky. They have to go to Piscataway. That's a weird one. Right before Oregon. It's kind of bullshit, whoever scheduled that. And then they have to go to Wisconsin. So Ohio State and USC will both be traveling to USC that week. So that's kind of shitty. But here's the thing. Jaden Maivia has progressed as a quarterback every single season. And Lincoln Riley has proven, has he not, that he can produce quarterbacks at an elite level. Yes?
Absolutely. His only miss was Caleb Williams.
A bang. Absolutely. But what they were missing last year was a run game. Wayman Jordan should be able to open up this running capability team. They bolstered the line in the portal. They returned a tremendous amount of talent, snaps on the defensive side of the ball. Just a little sketchy in the second level at the linebacker position. They did lose a good amount of production there. But secondary and D-line should be able to compete at an elite level. And then, obviously, you lose Ja'Cory Lane and Mekhi Lovett. So that's going to be the biggest question mark. It's who steps in. But it's the West Coast wide receiver U out there. Terrell Anderson. They've got a couple tight ends that can come in. They get Ashcroft from Wisconsin in the transfer portal. Pretty good tight end there that should be able to contribute to give more lanes that Maivia didn't really have coming in. And then Zacharias Williams, Trent Mosley. It's interesting, right? Because since Lincoln's arrived in the Big Ten, he's got a couple wins here and there, but never really competitive for any sort of conference championship.
Yeah.
So, but having a 4-year starter, Maivia did start as a true freshman at UNLV, we all recall. So 4-year starter in college football. I think that all the pieces are there. This isn't the Pac-12 USC that yardages are going to go up and down the field. I think they can compete on defense enough. And I think that their schedule lines up perfectly this year, that their only loss, I have them at 11-1, is to Ohio State.
Got them beating Indiana on the road.
Yep, off a bye.
Yeah, I mean, I see the vision. No doubt. This is a loaded team. I read all 5 starters on their offensive line return.
Yeah, but it was a pretty shitty offensive line. So it's like the college, it's a little bit of give and take. Like you can progress in the offseason. So there is that factor. But like we can't get married to returning production if the returning production was dog shit.
Absolutely.
So
I saw that they hired Gary Patterson.
They did. Mr. Horny himself.
Hasn't coached since 2021 is what I read.
It's right out of the CBS locker room. Wasn't he in the studio?
Was he? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
So, yeah, I see the upside. They got playmakers all over the place, offensively and defensively. You know the program is just starving to take that next step. No doubt about that. I mean, USC looks at themselves as a national championship contender every year with that brand. So,
They had one of the top recruiting classes, too. I mean, they've got guys there. It's just, can Lincoln Riley prove his worth outside of that run and gun Big 12? I mean, that's where he made a name for himself. And at the end of the day, you got to play football. You can't just play one side of the ball. Also, Lincoln, not a friend to the gambling network. At USC, he's 4-13 against the spread as a road favorite.
Yeah, his teams fucking suck on the road.
That's gotta change.
It does.
Yeah. That I'm sure. I don't know if it's been announced. I wonder what the Penn State whiteout game is, but that USC at Penn State has got to be a contender, and that would be an interesting one.
USC, to me, USC and the Packers are literally like the same team.
They're like cicadas. They come up like once every 16 years.
Sure, but like high expectations, fun on paper, good players, but find ways to like lose some games. And
yeah, just like they find a way for getting injured at the one position that doesn't have depth, and then it just kind of, it's just like pulling out the bottom block of a card pyramid, pretty much.
Yeah, I see the potential with USC, but man, are they ever going to take the step under Lincoln Riley? I don't know.
I think so. It's more or less, I believe in the quarterback more than anything.
Yeah.
I like him for Heisman a lot. Obviously talked about it in the past weeks. But yeah, USC, I have them in the conference championship, and I have them losing, shocking, to the Ohio State. And then here's Mayer's Oregon. Didn't talk about Oregon, but Mayer likes them to win the Big Ten this year. How could you not? So what do you like most about Oregon this year that has them stand out at number one?
What do I like most about them is probably 8 returning starters on defense. That definitely caught my attention.
Sure.
I got a veteran quarterback. He's not my favorite guy, but I think he's good enough to win with. I just think Oregon has a really strong defense. I think they have returning skill players, whether that's an Evan Stewart, for example, or guys that they acquired in the transfer portal. And I like what they've been building. A couple back-to-back playoff losses. Obviously, expectations sky high. Feels like championship or bust. I do think that they live up to the expectations this year, at least in the regular season. Now, playoffs,
Playoffs.
It just depends how good the rest of the team is, because I truly don't know how much I trust Dante Moore at quarterback. I've seen enough of Dante Moore. He's not bad. He's talented, but when we're talking about winning real big games against really good teams, I'm not quite there yet with him yet.
Yeah, like the Iowa game comes to mind. It's like got it done, but like Iowa, really? That's what
Penn State last year.
Yeah, Penn State game. It's a great call. It's like, really? And how terrible Penn State turned out to be? Like, that would have been one of the worst losses on any playoff team's resume.
In both games against Indiana.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I do have Ohio State at 11-1, and their only loss is to Oregon. Ohio State would essentially be coming off a win at USC and has to come home and gets Oregon, who the previous week would be playing Northwestern in Autzen. So I think that's a brutal setup of a schedule for Ohio State. Ohio State returns seventh ranked most yards represented on offense. Obviously, they lose tremendous amount of talent on the defensive side of the football. When you lose Sonny Styles, when you lose Arvell Reese, when you lose maybe my favorite college football player of all time, Caleb Downs. And when you're a school up at the top that always is expected to contend, you have to find a way to reload. They are returning all of their offensive line. Many outlets have it as the number one offensive line in the country. So that's something that, obviously 2 years ago, they won a national title, but it was still question marks. Last year, question marks turned out to be perfectly fine. They get a true sophomore. Bo Jackson was a breakout star at running back. And they reloaded more at wide receiver than you think. Losing Carnell Tate as a surefire, obviously, NFL top pick. With who's going to be on the other side of Jeremiah Smith? Brandon Ennis will be on the inside. So he's a stud 5-star. This is his senior year, but slot receiver. But Chris Henry Jr. is an option to come in to fill out that. Devin McGuinn, another 5-star talent. So just pick a name and we'll find it. Devin Sanchez, Jermaine Matthews, reload at cornerback. Igbinosun, I was never really a big fan of, but and Downs obviously played safety. So I think they're still strong in the secondary. They bring in Jalen McClain. They bring in Terry Moore from Duke, who's a standout transfer. One of the best transfers pickups for need base, I think, in any school in the entire country. So the biggest knock on this team is going to be how they respond with a new offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith comes in. Second year for Patricia. Patricia stayed around. I think that's good. He was able to show that there was going to be no issues coming to college, as he produced one of the freakiest defensive units you'll ever see in college football. Heard a stat today. They didn't allow a first half touchdown until week 8. That's insane. So, yeah. Anyway, so you're going to have the guys I mentioned, Q Rousseau, Bo Atkinson, who was a transfer from a couple years ago, Edric Houston, big recruit on the defensive line. But the biggest thing is going to be tempo. Last year, we talked about it, harped on it a bunch when we were talking about betting Ohio State, is they were down near the academies when it came to tempo on the offense and moving the ball. And this idea that it worked out for them because they had such a weak schedule. And this year, I'd say them and Texas have the two toughest schedules by far in the entire country. Get Texas week 2, go to Iowa, go to Indiana, go to USC, come home, host Oregon, and host Michigan. Have to squeeze in a little go to Lincoln right before the Michigan game.
No kidding.
As well.
It's a tough schedule.
It's an incredibly tough schedule. And You don't bring in the talent. You don't hammer the portal for the needs that you have unless you're willing to meet these standards. And overall, I think the best thing that could have happened to Julian Sane is what happened in the final two games. Julian Sane last year, I'd say an incredible first year by any standards. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, didn't he lead college football in completion percentage?
He did. And at 77%, 32-8 touchdown to interception ratios. But obviously, people are going to harp on the last two games where he goes 1-1 touchdown interception, and he goes 1-2, 2 picks. Obviously, the pick six in the Miami one that was just telegraphed, brutal.
He did not play well against Miami, but that loss is more on the offensive line, in my opinion, not on him.
For sure. But the main point is that he survived a fairly simple season and got roughed up and didn't just get gifted like a easy path to like a national championship, like draw someone like James Madison and then like
Will Howard.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Oh, this boy is spitting. He's just goofing at the end of the night. No, but I think tested gives you a little fire in the belly to come out and execute at every level. And then you have to be able to execute without Jeremiah Smith because teams are going to double him. Teams' game plans are going to be to take Jeremiah Smith away. And we'll see how it turns out. I think Ohio State will survive the gauntlet, and their upside is undefeated national championship. I think they drop a game. And even if they drop two is definitely playoffs. 3 is probable playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
agreed. With that Texas game early on as well, for sure.
Yeah. So I could also see them losing to Texas. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Ohio State. I do think this offense is going to be rolling so well that teams will not be able to double Jeremiah. And it's just going to be relying on this offensive line living up to the hype.
Yeah. Well said. I got nothing to add.
Thank you. All right, let's bring this ship home. Best of the rest. Thank you for sticking around. And we've got 18 teams in this league. We talked about a few teams that weren't in each other's top 10. So there's really only 6 teams or so. Just a note on your squad, Northwestern, opening a beautiful, sexy little arena. What do you got on them? What's the report on Northwestern?
Yeah, I mean, David Braun, he's going into his 4th year as their head coach. Last season, they won 7 games and went 4-5 in the conference. So not bad, but most, those wins were against really the bottom tier of the league for the most part. You mentioned brand new stadium. Chip Kelly, if that name sounds familiar, he is Northwestern's offensive coordinator this year, believe it or not. And at quarterback, he is going to have Aiden Childs leading the way, former Michigan State dropout, highly touted prospect. He's got raw talent, that's for sure. They also bring back Griffin Wild, their top pass catcher, which was nice to see. And, just like every other team, had a couple nice transfer pickups and seemingly some strong returning players on defense. So ultimately, I think Northwestern will probably have a season similar to what they usually do, where they win somewhere between 3 and 5 conference games. Looking at their schedule here, at Indiana, that's a loss. They open up the new arena against Penn State. That's an interesting game. At Michigan State, host Rutgers, at Oregon, host Iowa, at Ohio State, at Minnesota, host Illinois. So, yeah, I think the Cats will be perfectly slightly below average would be my guess.
Yeah, I haven't scratched in another bowl. 6-6. That's the last team I have in there.
Scratch.
Caden Hauser back in the Big Ten at Illinois. Feels like Illinois is poised for a down year. Bielema tenure has been pretty positive so far, but I just think that the way their schedule lines up and the amount of production that they lost, and I'm just gonna say it, I'm not a Hauser believer. I'm an anti-Hauser. I'm a Hauser phobe. So I have them 4-8. I don't really believe in Illinois.
Yeah, I see quite a bit of variance with this team, but overall, I would lean that they have more of a down year as opposed to me leaning that they have more of an up year. For the reasons you said, Brett Bielema is going into year 6 with this program. 19 wins since the start of the 2024 season. It is the best 2-year stretch in Illinois program history. So yes, he has done a phenomenal job, but losing Luke Altmaier, he was a really good quarterback for them, and lost some other guys as well. So I'd expect them to take a step back, if not 2.
Yeah. Rutgers with Shiano, they just blow up the entire defense, bring in a new coordinator from South Dakota. You have to think Shiano just competes since his comeback. I mean, I have them just near a bowl. I have them 5-7. They could definitely get to a bowl. They do have a little bit of a tough schedule, but some cupcakes in there. They have 2 stud running backs that should compete. Outside of that, it's Rutgers football. I mean,
yeah, 4 returning starters on the offensive line. KJ Duff at wide receiver. He had over 1,000 yards receiving last year. You mentioned Antoine Raymond, their second team all Big Ten running back.
Yep.
I think a lot of it, who's going to play quarterback? Seems like there's a competition there as well.
That's what it comes down to. They just haven't had a quarterback. So,
whoa. Kalike Manis, he could spin it.
Maka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, Malik Washington, Maryland. Dude, I just don't see it. They just need to part ways with Loxley. Just find a new identity. I have them another 2-win season, 3-win season last year. Same with Purdue. I know they bring in Purdue as Mullen from last year.
What?
Wait, who's Purdue coach?
Barry Odom.
Mullen took UNLV. That's right. Yeah. Barry Odom, great coach. But it's too many mouths to feed in this conference.
Purdue hasn't won a conference game since 2023. It's a real stat. Ryan Brown returns at quarterback for Purdue. They added 32 players from the transfer portal. That's all I really got on them. Maryland, you already mentioned Malik Washington. He's a heck of a talent. They were able to keep him. And they also signed the highest rated player ever to sign with Maryland, just ahead of Stephon Diggs, the number 2 overall recruit in the 2026 class, Zion Ely, pass rusher for Maryland. Now, it does suck. They lost a really good pass rusher on their team to a non-contact injury just here recently. Zahir Mathis, 6 sacks last season. So that's a blow for them. I agree. It's going to be tough to see him competing, but interesting notes for Maryland. And Michigan State. Michigan State Spartans. Head coach Pat Fitzgerald takes over at head coach. This team went 4-8 last year, 1-8 in the conference. Their quarterback is someone that I know Coach Fitz likes, Alicio Milivojevic.
Milivojevic?
Yeah, thank you. That's much better. Yeah, he's tough. He looked decent in his last 4 games of the season. A couple transfers at wide receiver, KK Smith from Notre Dame and Frederick Moore from Michigan. They also brought in Cam Edwards at running back, who had over 12 100 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns at UConn last year. And they're able to keep Jordan Hall, a honorable mention All Big Ten linebacker. But, Fitz is going to have that team heading in the right direction, in my opinion. I think he's a good coach. I think he'll bring Michigan State back to at least a respectable team in terms of, I think they'll win more than one Big Ten conference game this year. I think they'll more so win 3 or 4. But yeah, I'm hoping to see the dividends pay off with Fitz in year 2 or year 3.
That's interesting because the line for Toledo has already gone down to 10.5 from 12.5. So I see this season as being a 12-game preseason for the 2027 season.
Okay.
I disagree. I have them at 2 conference wins. I have them 3-9 overall. It's just a brutal start, brutal schedule. I agree. Pat Fitzgerald is a great hire for what they are looking to build. They're looking to build an identity up there, and this won't be the season.
I'm looking for improvement. Come on, Sparty.
Sure. Yep. All right. Wrapping up. Any reach plays in your mind? I already talked about them. I guess my biggest reach play would be USC contending for a conference championship and potentially a national championship.
Yeah, I think my team would be Michigan in that same stratosphere.
USC 35-1 to win the Natty. Michigan 40-1 to win the Natty.
Okay.
I think the other reach play as well. Where's it at?
Washington?
No, Wisconsin. Wisconsin 9 wins, I think, is plus 600 or something, or plus 450. So that'd be a reach play. 6 wins, just talked about them. Northwestern's plus 110. They're an interesting look. And Minnesota's minus 155. You had them at your 10th best team.
Mm-hmm.
That's a solid number for there. UCLA minus 210. Nebraska minus 230. There's some good numbers to potentially hop in to our parlay next week.
Absolutely.
Then last call, wrapping up. A little marathon, but 2 biggest conferences. We knew what we were in for. A lot to talk about, a lot to ponder on before we hit send on those final future bets. Overall, let me ask you this. Do you think the national champion will come from the Big Ten this year?
No, I don't.
He's a Longhorn, folks. I've known it since we signed on a month and a half ago. He's a Longhorn this season.
You might be right.
And last one. Who will have the oh my gosh. Who will have the better season in the as the darling new coach? Bob Chesney at UCLA or John Summerall at Florida?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Summerall, but that's no shade at Kenny out there in Southern Cal.
Yeah. Who will have Napier isn't coaching anymore. Yeah, we didn't have any basketball players on the Big Ten.
No Willie Cauley-Steins.
That'll do it. Future show next week and week 0 coverage of the 10 games. Is that right? I think 10 games or so.
About that. A little less, I think.
Yeah, I think it might be 9. But we'll be probably just cover all the games. Who cares? Because a lot of them are all FBS. So I can't wait, man.
I can't wait either.
What is that?
It's the Hawaii quarterback.
Oh, Aliato?
Yep.
What publication is that?
This is the ESPN college football preview.
Oh, so you just walked into a grocery store and flushed money down the toilet?
Got it at the Boston airport, and I have really enjoyed it. You
Huh.
prick.
I mean, ESPN, it looks like that's right up their alley. Picture book.
Yeah, it's nice.
Is McAfee on any of those pages?
Not yet, but I haven't scrolled through every page.
Monday Night McAfee, man.
Monday Night McAfee.
It's been fun. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Love you.